Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening to Wake Up, Look Up, a podcast where we connect events happening in real time to the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm Zach Weihrauch. And in today's episode, I'm telling you, don't start with guns. And what I mean by that is we're talking about school shooters, in particular, how we make school shooters in this society. It's based on a wonderful and exclusive article in the Washington Post about a school shooter in Georgia, a 14-year-old kid who killed 4 people and is now facing murder charges as an adult. And here's my basic argument. All the conversation around school shooting is about guns. And listen, I don't think that's bad for us to have that debate. I think it's worth arguing about what the role of guns are in our society. But I also think it's not the first argument we should be having. It's not even the first thing that leads to school shooting. When you read this article in the Washington Post, you're going to find 4 trends that you find in almost every school shooting story. 4 things that we can actually fix. 4 things that if we take seriously, we can actually move the needle on school shooting, and none of them have anything to do with guns. Listen, we're just yelling at each other on guns. We're not getting anywhere. But these are 4 things we can agree on. They're not political. They're social. They're things that if we take seriously, we can change. And by the way, they are 4 things that the local church can and should be aiming at. So here they are, 4 things that will actually help with school shooting. Number 1, in almost every instance, a school shooter is coming from a broken family. In this particular case, the school shooter was coming from a family with a mom who was strung out on drugs, a dad who had proven time and time again to be irresponsible, a grandmother who was doing everything she could but was overmatched by time and energy. Listen, broken families are a problem. And we can't just think of them as a problem when one of their kids decides to get violent. The truth is, this kid had been living a hellish existence on earth for a long time. The article is heartbreaking. This is where we have to take seriously the breakdown of the nuclear family. We have to provide resources and tools for helping families get help and find ways to reconcile conflict, to deal with addiction, to aim at the problems that are facing them. And I can't think of an organization more equipped to do that than the local church. Broken families should be our problem. They should be our business as we are preaching hope to families, restoration, reconciliation, redemption. That's our message. And one by one, as we connect with different families and help them find grace and peace and learn to love each other, we are actually saving future catastrophes. The second thing is when people are crying out for help. This is yet another example of a young person who time and time again, through their poor behavior, had been showing the world around them that they needed help. This kid had posted awful things online, spray painted awful things on the walls, been a consistent behavior problem in school. But as those who work with kids, whether professionally or in the local church, we have to start to see that poor behavior in children is often an indication of something being broken in their world. It isn't just a fire for us to put out or a nuisance for us to clear out of our day. For those of us who commit our lives to working with kids, we have to find a newfound energy to say that problem kid in the corner might be telling me there's something massive going on in his life. What would have happened if these cries for help had been heard in a local church, in a school? If problem kids start to become not just problems to us, but problems for us to solve through love and attention and compassion, we might just save the next school shooting. The third thing is mental illness. Listen, this family was rife with mental illness problems, mental health conditions. And as a society, we've got to get so much better at how we think about these things. Christians have to dedicate themselves to pursuing careers and service through counseling, through the local church and beyond. And not just counseling, but counseling to people who can't afford it, finding ways to demystify help and to help people overcome stigma and obstacles and objections to seeking counseling. This kid needed help from a professional, and that would have saved lives had he gotten it. And then fourth, big mistakes. Listen, Paul says, whatever you do, whether you eat or drink, do all to the glory of God. That's 1 Corinthians chapter 10. And that means doing your job at a really high level. In this story, what is heartbreaking is that the school actually had a warning that morning that this kid was a threat, and school administrators grabbed and detained the wrong student, which also means they didn't have a great knowledge of who was in their student body and who was potentially a risk. A police officer who stopped by this kid's home when alerted by the FBI that this kid had been making threats online didn't bother to open the email attachment that the FBI sent him that would have shown pictures of assault rifles and explicit threats to shoot up his particular school. Instead, the police officer stopped by for just a little bit, asked the kid, do you plan to shoot a school up? And when the kid said no, he said, okay, I'll take you at your word. And in every one of these instances, there are adults who didn't do their job with a high level of excellence. Christians should be able to rise up and meet the standard of glorifying God and maybe not miss these opportunities. Listen, each one of these things could be a podcast unto itself. But simply put, guns might be worth arguing about, but there's so much else that we can actually aim at as Christians and as citizens that will actually prevent these things in the future. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video. While you're here, we'd love to ask you to hit subscribe or to like so you get future content. If you listen to the audio version too, make sure you leave a review and a comment. That really helps. Consider sharing it on social media and helping us get the word out. And hey, while you're here, check out all the other content that Christ Community Chapel is putting out, including the videos that are around me right now.